Ready?
This meeting is being recorded.
And it's all yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. This is the February 6th, 2023 Physicians Assistant Board meeting. I am Juan Armenta, the board president. I started this meeting just on video to get us started. I will go ahead and shut down the video to save on bandwidth in case that becomes a problem. So I will call this meeting to order and go ahead and ask Ms. Gompers, please, if you will call the roll.
Good morning. Charles Alexander.
Present.
Juan Armenta.
Present.
Jennifer Carlquist.
Present.
Sonia Early.
Present.
Randy Hawkins. Was there a mic check for Randy? Oh, my apologies. And I was told
no one by that name is in the meeting yet.
Okay, and I was told Jed Grant is coming at 9:30, correct?
Yes, we have information that Jed will be joining us late, but as soon as possible. So we did have information that Dr. Hawkins was attempting to log on. So, but you can carry on.
Okay. And then Diego Nzunza.
Present.
Vasco Dion Kidd.
And again, we have no logins under Vasco Dion Kidd.
Oh, okay.
All right, very well. Nevertheless, it appears we have a quorum, so we can go ahead and proceed. So let's do that. And the item on the agenda up for consideration would be consideration of approval of the November 7th, 2022 board meeting minutes. So let's go ahead and carry on with that item. I presume all of you have the minutes and have had an opportunity to review them. Are there any comments on them from the board?
And this is the moderator. I wanted to acknowledge that we just did get logins from both Randy Hawkins and Vasco Dion Kidd. If you'd like, we can do a mic check with each of you.
Good morning. This is Dr. Hawkins.
Good morning. This is Dion Kidd.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Great. Ms. Gompers, would you adjust the roll to reflect both Dr. Hoskins and Mr. Kidd's presence, please?
Of course.
And gentlemen, we were considering the approval of the minutes for the November meeting, and I had invited anybody to make any commentary on those minutes. Okay, hearing none, before we vote on this matter, can we open the public comment channel for any comments on the November 7th, 2022 minutes?
Certainly. And while we do not have any public attendees in attendance just yet, I will go over the procedure. When we open for public comment, we will be opening WebEx's Q&A feature. You can look for the question mark icon and click on that. Typically, it's in the lower right corner of your computer screen. Type the word comment and click send. The other option is for anyone in the public to raise their hand by clicking on the hand icon. And if we do end up with call-in users, they may raise their hand by pressing *3. And at this time, as I said, we do not have any members of the public logged in. Shall I close that public comment feature for now?
Please.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. So do we have a motion to adopt those November 7th meeting minutes?
This is Dion. I'll make a motion to adopt.
This is Carlquist. I'll second.
Very well. A motion having been made and a second. Can we call the Ms. Gompers, would you call the vote, please?
Charles Alexander,
Aye.
Juan Armenta,
Aye.
Jennifer Carlquist,
Aye.
Sonia Early,
Aye.
Randy Hawkins,
Non-voting.
my apologies, and Vasco Dion Kidd.
Aye.
And that concludes the vote.
Okay, so the motion carries. The minutes are approved. Number 4 on our agenda is public comment on items not on the agenda. And do we still have nobody on the public channel?
That is correct. We have no public attendees logged in. Shall I
Okay,
go ahead and close that feature again?
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so that would close number 4. Number 5 is the president's report. The first thing is a rather sad and somber report. As many of you saw from an email, we lost one of our members tragically to a car accident, very young lady, 22 years old, not a board member, a staff member. And Rosanna asked that I read the following. It is with great sadness the board announces the loss of staff member Aurora Morris. Ms. Morris has been with the board since March 2020 as an office technician. She was a valuable member of the PAB team, providing excellent customer service to licensees and the public. Her presence and warm smile will be missed. We send our heartfelt condolences to Ms. Morris' family. I know it was a difficult week because this past week, her parents came to collect her belongings. So I'm sure we all join in sending our condolences to the family. The second item I'd like to report on is there has been some discussion in the background about the potential change in name that might be advocated by COPPA. The discussion was that at some point they should probably make a presentation to the board, and that would probably be the best way for COPPA to see any progress on that. So I just wanted to give the members a head up that it's not on our agenda anytime soon, but it may be in the future. So you may want to give it some thought. And Sonia, could you remind me what the new iteration of the name that is being contemplated by COPPA to conform to I guess, a national, in some states, a movement towards a different name, physician's assistant, rather than, what is the other name?
Yes, physician associate.
Okay. So just a heads up for everybody, that may be in the offing, but of course, until it's an agenda item for us, there's really no position for us to take. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. The third thing I want to report on is that in keeping with our objective to keep the board well informed and moving well, Vice President Early and I meet regularly by telephone with Executive Officer Rosanna Khan, who fills us in on staff issues, any other issues that may come up within the operations, so that we may bring them to the agenda. And I'm pleased to report that looks like we really did pick an excellent executive officer, because everything looks to be going along quite smoothly, and we haven't had to bring any emergencies or even semi-emergencies to the board's attention. So that's great. The next thing is, I understand that a Senate appointment has been made for a seat on our board, and that is a lady by the name of Deborah Snow, who was presently, I guess, on the speech pathology board, and will be moving over. So probably our next meeting will be swearing her in. So that's the other item. And then finally, the last item, I'd like to congratulate member Sonia Early, who is not member Sonia Early anymore, but Dr. Sonia Early. So it appears we have two doctorate of education, Dr. Alexander and Dr. Early. So congratulations, Vice President Early. So I guess I'll be calling you Dr. Early and Dr. Alexander from now on. So congratulations, Sonia.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You bet. Okay, so that concludes the President's report. Do we need to open that for public comment, Michael?
Good morning, Mr. President. No, it looks like we still don't have any public attendees. So perhaps when we finish an item, you can just make a record of that, and then we'll just move on.
Okay, great. So I don't have to open. I could just make a record of no participants and just carry on, right?
That's correct.
This is the moderator. I will let you know if we do have public attendees.
Outstanding. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. So the executive officer's report is next. Because of the somber state of the office, Rosanna asked that I read this, so I will go ahead and read her report into the record. Item A, office operations. The board is managing ongoing telework for staff while continuing to balance office operations. Item B, personnel. On December 13th, 2022, we welcome back Ariel Gompers to the board, who filled the vacant administrative analyst position. On December 6th, 2023, interviews were conducted to fill the vacant licensing analyst position. Once the board receives the necessary clearance, a confirmation of employment will be made. Additionally, the board advertised to fill the vacant office technician position, which will provide technical and clerical support to the enforcement and licensing programs. Item C, the board has two outreach events, each scheduled for this calendar year. Staff is looking forward to attending California Academy of PAs, that's CAPA, conference in Napa on February 25th, 2023, and the annual CAPA conference during the Physician Assistant Week, October 5 through 8 in Anaheim. We are grateful for the opportunity provided to us by CAPA to attend these exceptional events. The board also has two licensing presentations scheduled for this year, which will be conducted by lead licensing analyst Julie Caldwell. The first presentation took place on January 30th, 2023, with physician assistant students at the Keck School of Medicine at the University of Southern California. The second presentation is scheduled for February 23rd, 2023, for the physician assistant students at the University of the Pacific. Both presentations cover initial licensing requirements, license renewals, online resources, continuing education, etc. Additionally, the staff will be attending the Federation of State Medical Boards, FSMB, 111th annual meeting on May 4 through 6, 2023 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The FSMB is a national nonprofit organization that represents 70 medical and osteopathic boards of the United States and its territories. Their mission is to serve as the voice for state medical boards, supporting them through education, assessment, research, and advocacy, while providing services and initiatives that promote patient safety, quality healthcare, and regulatory best practices. The FSMB is a recognized authority throughout the United States and internationally on issues related to medical licensure and discipline. Item D, strategic planning. 2023 is the board's year to develop a new strategic plan. Department of Consumer Affairs, DCA Solid Training Solutions, has tentatively scheduled the strategic planning session with board members and its staff for May 1st, 2023 meeting in Sacramento. So remember, everybody, we will be live in Sacramento for that meeting. Solid is hopeful that they will be able to meet this target date. However, there's a chance this will need to be delayed, as their ability to begin this process is subject to finalization of the new diversity, equity, and inclusion components, which will be outlined by Deputy Director Melissa Gear as part of the DCA updates. Number E, information technology. Development of The instructional video to assist applicants with the licensure process is nearing completion. DCA Information Officer has started production of the video and should have it completed by the end of February. The board continues to use its subscriber alert system, social media accounts, and website to maximize outreach, which serves as the primary communication tools for licensees and members of the public. This concludes the executive officer's report. And again, since we have no public meeting, we'll move on to public members, or I'm sorry, public people on the public channel. Pardon me here, I'm fumbling through my papers. All right, since there's no members of the public on the channel, we'll move on to item 7. Item 7 are board activity reports. 7A is licensing. Ms. Caldwell, if you would, please.
Good morning, everyone. So, moderator, if we have a licensing population by type, it's the first report in 7.
One moment while we pull that up.
Sure.
And we can go to page 2, I believe.
Correct.
And as a clarification for our attendees, you can scroll up and down on any page as you choose, but we will be advancing the pages on your queue. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Okay, so the first report that we have is the licensing population type. And this breaks down the licensees per category, such as current, delinquent, canceled, retired. The key is in the lower left-hand corner of this report. So currently we have a total of 23,912 licensees, 16,347 of which are current and active. 30 are current inactive, and 1 is current temporary family support. We can move forward 1 page. This report is a summary of licensing activity, and this covers the period of October 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022. And this shows us that during that period, we had 372 people apply for a license, 435 were issued, and we had a total of 1,763 individuals renew their license. We can scroll down, or the next page, perfect. Okay, so pending application workload. This one really just gives you a great look at the average age that an application sits on the desk, and then the average age that it's assigned to an individual. So that can vary. So you have a desk age that starts the day the application is submitted. So we don't consider an application submitted without payment as a valid application that we actually work on. Individuals are instructed at the beginning of the online service to go ahead and pay the fees at the time they apply, and they're notified when they apply that their application isn't considered submitted until payments are received. So the desk age captures when the individual submitted the application and made the payment. And then the application age captures when that was assigned to a specific staff member. And then that gives you the colored pie for the green is a lot of people, the 0 to 30 days, the 31 to 60, 61 to 90, 91 plus. That doesn't mean that it's taking us that long to review everybody. Currently, we're under a 30-day window. I think I just hit January 9th for reviews. So we're well under that 30-day window of having individuals apply and updated within 30 days. what that different color of that pie indicates is how long they're in the drawer for. And sometimes they get questions on, why are they there for 91 plus days? And we do have individuals that don't pass the PANCE exam, and they're the NCCPA requires that they wait a minimum, I think, of 3 months before they retake their exam. We do have some individuals that wait till their birth month to be licensed. We have some individuals that just apply super early from they haven't even graduated from the program or taken the PANCE exam. And then we have quite a few people that are coming from out of state, and sometimes that just delays the issuance of their license due to maybe a difficulty getting a verification or their background check. We didn't get the results. The card got rejected for poor quality of print, so we have to send the second card, and that does delay. Those are the most common reasons that people are reviewed and then don't have a license within 45 days, but a lot of people do. And then if we could move forward to the last report, which is the licensing performance measures. Which is the one right after the pending application workload. There we go. So this one was ran on December, it was ran in January, and this covered October 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022. And we were a little bit over the 30-day window. I know that with Maggie's departure from the board, we have been a shortage of staff. Christy Boone has been amazing to help carry the workload of the licensing desk. So we are well within that 30 days now, but we were a little outside that window just because of the holiday vacation schedules and just due to the staffing shortage, but we're good now. And then just really quick, the licensing unit has started to issue controlled substance education course audits to our licensees. And so far the audit is going well, and we're having some good response to getting those certificates in-house and added to the details of the individual's licensing account so that they can see them through the Breeze website when they check the details. But we're moving forward with that project. Any questions?
Yes, Ms. Caldwell, I have a question. So when you mentioned Maggie's departure, I suppose that is Margarita Harrington that we see on the...
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. So her departure, I take it, would account for that skewing of our average, of the average desk age. Is that correct?
Yes. So typically Maggie and I kept it under that 30-day window. I always shot for about 3 weeks. So from the time you applied and paid your fees, you should have heard from the board within about 3 to 4 weeks. But Maggie left beginning middle of October, and I was on vacation, and then we had a couple holidays during that period. So yeah, right now, currently, last week I started reviewing for January 9th. So we're maintaining that 30-day window. And that's something that the board, as staff, we felt was a doable figure for us to provide an update to the individual within that 30 days.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from board members? Okay, great. Thank you, Ms. Caldwell. All right, that moves us to item B. Mr. Melendez, if you would, please.
Hi, good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Hear you loud and clear.
Great. Well, good morning. I will be providing you a section of the enforcement activity report in regards to the complaints for the second quarter. We will be focusing on the second quarter from October 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022. As you can see on our chart, we have also provided stats from the previous quarter. This report will also show how we're trending this fiscal year to last fiscal year. So let me start off with complaint volume. We have received 91 complaints. We have received eight complaints that were for convictions or arrest, with the total of 99 complaints. Intake, we had 95 cases assigned to the desk analyst. 0 complaints are pending at the intake level. Complaints and investigations. 13 complaints were referred to for investigation. 86 complaints and investigations were closed. There are 296 complaints that are pending at the desk, analyst desk. 69 cases are pending at the field, investigations field. Investigation aging. The average the average age of pending investigations are 331 days. Investigations over 8 months old, there are 40 cases currently right now. I would like to move to the following chart. The following chart is one of the complaints, the complaints received by type and source. This concludes my portion of the report. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melendez. Any questions from board members on item 7B? All right, very well. Thank you, Mr. Melendez. That moves us to item 7C, discipline. Ms. Hayden.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac.
Good morning, everyone. I'll be presenting the discipline statistic for the second quarter, which is October 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022. And during the second quarter, there were no suspensions issued. For the Office of the Attorney General transmittals, we had 7 cases initiated. Currently, there are 47 cases pending, and the average age of the pending cases is 341. For the formal actions filed, dismissed, withdrawn, we had for the second quarter 5 accusations filed. And moving on to the administrative outcomes and final order. For the second quarter, there were 3 licenses that were revoked, 1 license surrendered, and there was 1 petition for early termination of probation granted. And for the citation and fine section, there was 1 citation resolved, and fines received for the second quarter was $500. That concludes my report. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hayden. Okay. Item is D and E, probation and diversion. Ms. Gerard, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. So in October, one of the probationers surrendered. In November, we had somebody successfully complete probation, and we had somebody, their petition for early termination was granted. And in December, we had a person successfully complete probation. Are there any questions on our numbers? Or any other questions?
I do, but I'll wait till you're finished with the other one as well.
Of course. The diversion, we're holding steady on 2 participants.
Okay. My concern always in this area is how you are being received in the field, and I don't necessarily mean outgoing visiting on spot checks, but that certainly includes it, but also your telephone checks or correspondence checks with probationers. Just give us a narrative of how you are being received. Is it respectful? Any problems? Better than you expected? Worse than you expected? Just give us a narrative of the highlights you think we should know.
Yes, sir. I would say better than expected. I'm generally received very well. I didn't intake a lot of people, but since I've been here, I have done an intake, and so that sets the tone of what people can expect. But as I was saying, I wasn't here for a lot of them, so upon meeting some folks for the first time and looking at it, some people may not be taking it as seriously as you would think, but I think that has to do with their personalities. But we're being well received. Yes, sir.
Okay. And your comment about not taking it seriously, but that may be personality. Illuminate me. What do you mean? Do they think that it's not a big deal to be under probation, or they think they're complying so that it's not on the radar? Or what do you think there?
I think they think it's not a big deal, or it's a sort of a big inconvenience, and maybe they have been put on probation because of just a misunderstanding, things like that. I don't know if it's denial or I don't know, but I got to say the PAs are generally easier than the medical doctors.
I don't doubt that for a second. Okay, so even though there's this not big a deal attitude, you don't perceive any problem with continuing to enforce from your end, the enforcement of the probation terms.
That's right, sir. And the enforcement is going to come down to what our attorneys and what you guys are willing to. Because I can only advise them they're not in compliance and try to write it up and send it out there.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. Any other questions?
Dr. Hawkins.
Please.
Question about the license surrender. Do you recall the nature of that individual who surrendered their license?
That was an individual who was tolling and had about a 3-year probation. But I believe they were just unable to find work, or I'm not sure. They were tolling, and that means they weren't working. And what typically we do is there's a condition, as a standard condition, that if you toll for 2 years, it's considered a violation. So we don't want folks sitting in our drawers indefinitely. And so we typically send them a letter saying, we're going to petition to revoke, or if you want to surrender, we can offer you that, and the board may accept your license. And so that's what happened.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, I might be, actually I think I have that wrong. I think that person may have pending. Can I get back to you on that one?
Sure, you can either chime in later during the meeting or in your next report answer that question. Did you catch that, Ms. Sherrod?
Sorry, I was yelling to one of my coworkers, and that's correct. He had, I think he was trying to stay our order. And what, did he fail that, Christina? Okay, the person withdrew the writ and surrendered ultimately.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
No problem. Very good. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Gerard. Appreciate your report. Thank you. Okay, that concludes item number 7. So let us proceed to the DCA Director's update from DCA staff. So do we have a DCA staff member here? It looks like we do.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Turn my camera on, but I'm not sure if you can see me.
I see a black screen so far.
Yeah, that's all I see too. I'm going to turn my video off. I'm not sure what happened there, but we can go ahead and get started. So again, hello and good morning, President Armenta, Vice President Dr. Early, Executive Officer Khan, and members of the board. I'm Melissa Gear, Deputy Director for Board and Bureau Relations. I appreciate the opportunity to provide the Department of Consumer Affairs update this morning. I have several updates that I will be sharing this morning, starting with our new strategic plan and logo. DCA released its new 5-year strategic plan in November and officially transitioned to a new logo at the start of the new year. The new logo will be implemented gradually throughout this year. Existing items with the previous DCA logo are still valid during the transition and do not need to be replaced or updated. DCA, Board, and Bureau Relation leadership have been given information and resources to help with the new logo's implementation. A centralized website is also available at www.dca.ca.gov/logo. The new plan and logo represent the department's next chapter and future, with consumer protection continuing to guide our mission and priorities. DCA holds itself to a high standard as a licensing entity, regulator, educator, and service provider. Additionally, the plan incorporates our strong commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as our shared commitment to each consumer. The new logo not only displays California's official colors, but it also visually represents DCA's vision, together protecting California consumers. The shield symbolizes DCA's strong and long-standing protection mandate. The state symbolizes all 40 million Californians DCA has pledged and is honored to serve. The star symbolizes consumer protection as DCA's true guiding principle, its own North Star. For questions about the department's new strategic plan or logo, please contact me, Melissa Gear. Next is an update regarding the DCA Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Steering Committee. At the end of last year, the department established its first Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Steering Committee, or DEI committee, to guide the department's equity strategy, initiatives, and action plans. Comprised of DCA, board, and bureau leadership, the DEI committee held its second meeting on January 27th and established the committee's charter, discussed changes to the strategic planning process, and development of a DEI fact sheet. Additional resources will be forthcoming that the boards will be able to use and incorporate into their strategic plans and communications. The committee will concentrate on 3 key areas: workforce, find and keep diverse talent; workplace, actively educate leaders and employees to raise awareness and foster an inclusive culture; and marketplace, to be sensitive to the diverse backgrounds and perspectives of consumers, applicants, and licensees. In addition, as referenced in Executive Officer Khan's update, I will be sharing a strategic planning update. The department's DEI steering committee is working to implement the governor's executive order issued in September of last year, which directs state departments to embed diversity, equity, and inclusion into their strategic plans. DCA's solid team is working with the DEI steering committee to develop DEI-related questions for inclusion and environmental scan surveys and SWOT analyses to help guide the boards and bureaus in developing DEI-related goals and objectives as part of their strategic plans. Sample DEI objectives will also be provided to further assist the boards and bureaus. Additionally, DCA is developing video messages from leaders to explain their perspective on DEI and how it relates to the board's role as regulators and policymakers. Once these new DEI components have been finalized and approved, Solid will begin working with DCA's boards and bureaus on the development of new strategic plans or updating of existing strategic plans. We will keep your executive officer updated as more information becomes available. As you wait for additional information regarding your strategic plan and the next phase of the process, I would like to share with you the required board member training reminders. Now is a great time to review all the necessary board member trainings and submit your certificates of completion to your executive officer and DCA at memberrelations@dca.ca.gov. There are 2 DCA-wide mandatory trainings for 2023. This includes sexual harassment prevention training and information security awareness. All DCA employees and appointees, including board members, will need to complete the sexual harassment prevention training this year. This training is required every odd-numbered year and is approximately 2 hours. In addition, if you are assigned a DCA email, which means it ends it with @dca.ca.gov, you are required to complete the Information Security Awareness Fundamentals 2023 training. Information Security Awareness training addresses everyone's role in protecting DCA data and information. The training is online and required every year. Both the sexual harassment prevention training and information security awareness training are available in the department's learning management system, which we commonly refer to as LMS. Both trainings can be accessed online at any time. In the next few weeks, information will be sent out via email on how to access these trainings. Board members must complete Board Member Orientation Training, or BMOT, within the first year of appointment or reappointment, ethics training within 6 months of appointment and every 2 years thereafter, and defensive driver training within the first year and every 4 years. For your convenience, these trainings are offered multiple times a year in a variety of formats. For more information, a mandatory trainings page has been created to help members identify, access, and track specified trainings. The page includes direct links to mandatory trainings as well as pertinent information and policies specific to those training courses. The page is available via the DCA Board Member Resource Center page under Required Board Member Training. You can also reach out to myself or Yvonne Durantes. Now that you have been reminded of some of the mandatory trainings, let's take a look ahead to see what is on the horizon in the months ahead. First, we will have President's Training on February 22nd, 2023. DCA invites presidents and vice presidents to join President's Training on February 22nd from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. This virtual 2-hour training will outline the role of a board president, including understanding the scope of the role, managing board members, and performing administrative duties. Please sign up now using LMS. Second is the end of COVID-19 state of emergency waivers, which will be on February 28th. The COVID-19 state of emergency and associated executive orders will end on February 28th. Excuse me. Upon the state of emergency ending, the remaining active waivers that DCA issued under the authority of the state of emergency and executive orders will also expire. Third, Don't forget to file your annual Form 700s by March 15th, 2023. Board and committee members are required to file a Statement of Economic Interest, or Form 700, within 30 days of their appointment, annually and within 30 days of leaving office. This year's annual filing period covers the prior calendar year, January 1st through December 31st, 2022. The official deadline for filing is Friday, April 1st, 2023. To ensure compliance, DCA requests that Form 700 filers complete the e-filing by Friday, March 15th, 2023. You should have recently received an email from NetFile with instructions on how to file your annual Form 700. If you have any questions or would like more information, please feel free to contact me. And my email address is melissa.gear@dca.ca.gov. And last, but definitely not least, is the Board Member Orientation Training, or BMOT, which will be held on March 22nd, 2023. As previously mentioned, board members must complete BMOT within 1 year of their appointment or reappointment. On March 22nd, BMOT will be offered as a live virtual day of training and possibly in person on June 20th and October 10th of 2023. More information will be available soon. Members can sign up using LMS. And as I come to a close, DCA and the BBR team look forward to working with and assisting you throughout this new year. We are here to support you and the important work you do. Please reach out anytime. Thank you again for this opportunity and I welcome any questions from the board. And I'd also would like to take a moment to offer my sincerest condolences to the family and friends of Ms. Aurora Morris on behalf of myself and the DCA Executive Office team. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, this is Dr. Kidd. My condolences and sympathies for the family of Miss Aurora Morris. Just wanted to make sure that I put that on the record. And then number two, Melissa, thank you for your great report. I have not received an annual 700 form link. So I'm not sure if that will be coming out anytime soon. And then the other question that I have is the information that we populated in the e-form last year, will that be repopulated into this form so we can make some edits? Or will we have to start from the very beginning when we fill out that form, just putting in information? Or is there an expectation that some of the information we put in last year will carry over into the new form?
Thank you for that question. I will have to check on your link, check our NetFile system to see why you haven't received your link. They may be coming out in batches and yours just hasn't come up yet, for one. And for two, I'd also have to get back to you on whether or not the form is pre-populated with your previous information or if you have to start over. I can't recall. I have, in the past, being a Form 700 filer myself, have seen it done both ways. So I will check and get back to you on that.
Thank you, Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you the last time I did it, it was already populated with all the forms and you just needed to make some changes as needed.
Thank you, President Armenta.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Yeah, this is Dr. Alexander. Again, my condolences to the family as well. I have a question about if you did the sexual violence, sexual harassment training already. Could I share a certificate from the University of California to fulfill that requirement?
Yes, you can share that certificate and we can take a look at it. And if it falls within the appropriate time frame, then we will be able to go ahead and use that certificate, is my understanding. There may be some slight nuances, and if there is, we would let you know. But yes, generally speaking, if you have one, please do share it.
Yeah, it was. It's as you know, it's a state requirement for us, and actually, it was. I just did it last week. It was 2 hours long, so I hope it's acceptable.
that, based on what you just shared, probably is acceptable, especially if you just did it last week. So please do go ahead and get that to us, and we'll go ahead and take a look and get back to you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, very good. So thank you for that report, and I'm sure everybody will take note of it as needed as we move forward. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to item number 9, the budget update. And I think we have a DCA budget analyst with us this morning.
Yes, hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can we go to the next one for the fund condition, please? Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Suzanne Balkes, and I'm a budget analyst with the DCA Budget Office. I want to thank the board and the executive staff to allow me time to present the board's fund condition statement. And of course, my condolences to the board, staff, and the family. I would like to start with a quick update regarding current year and budget year. On January 10, 2023, the governor's budget was released, which provide updated budget numbers for the boards that includes incremental adjustment to the current year, which is 22-23, and to the base budget for budget year 23-24, which was provided at the last board meeting. Today, I will be talking about agenda item 9, which is budget update. And in the meeting material, we will be finding the fund condition statement. We did not include expenditures in today's presentation since we are projecting full expenditure, and the budget office will continue to monitor these expenditures and report back to the board with monthly expenditure projection report as future fiscal months close. So to go for the fund condition, this will give you a 4-year view of the board's fund. And I will be talking about each section, top to the bottom and left to right. The first column is 21-22 actual, and we have a beginning balance of about 4.8 million, with prior year adjustment of about 197,000, and that gives you, excuse me, that gives us an adjusted beginning balance of about 5 million. Collected approximately 2.5 million in revenue, and transferred to general fund AB 84 of negative 88,000, which gives us a total expenditure of 2.9 million. That gives you a fund balance of about 4.5 million or 16.7 months in reserve. And next is we have the current year, which is 22-23, and which includes the FM5 projections, and it's based on the governor's budget. The boards have a beginning balance of about 4.5 million, and has projected estimate of 2.7 million in revenue and 3.2 million in total projected for FM5. We currently have a fund balance of about 4 million, and which is give us about 14.6 months in reserve. And in the last two columns, we have 23-24, which is budget year, and 24-25, budget year +1. And these projections are based on the current year's governor's budget, except for the income from surplus, which is formula driven. And also budget year and budget year +1 are realized. And one of the main factors that we do into the fund condition that we add the 3% ongoing increase for expenditure, and that is due to general salary increase, employees comp, and retirement rate adjustment. That actually concludes my presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions. And of course, we do not have any immediate concern for the board.
I do have a question. I'm looking at our months in reserve and see a continuing decline to the point of 10.7 for 24-25. And can you refresh my memory on what is the months in reserve that we like to see for a healthy fund condition?
So we would like to see between 6 months and a maximum of 24 months. But 6 months and above, it's healthy fund.
I'm going to make you.
Yes.
Please, go ahead, please. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, that's fine. And what we do is for budget year plus one, we are doing full expenditure. So meaning that we are assuming that the board is going to be using all of their appropriation. So that's why it always changes. But we include the 3% increase. So that's just what I want to point out to you.
All right. So very good. My comment would be that I think we're all realizing that the last few 2 or 3 or 4 decades of extremely low interest and inflation rates are probably at an end. And we will see continuing inflationary pressures probably well into the next decade, in this decade anyway. If that's the case, then this trend downward in reserves, we're getting lower, obviously much closer to the 6 months than the 24 months. I just want to put the seed in everybody's mind that at some point we want to be looking at how to change that. And I think, and maybe Ms. Khan can speak to this or somebody else with knowledge can speak to this, is there hasn't really been any fee change, renewal fee change for some time. Is that not correct? Can somebody provide us an input on that?
Yeah, this is Rosanna. We have not had a fee increase, and that would be we will be looking into that. I think, Suzanne, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 25-26 fiscal year?
Yes. And we can try to look at it before if you would like to. So, but this is based on the fund condition.
Yeah, I think I would, just for some long-range planning, I think it would be wise of us if you can just perhaps for the next meeting, give us some projections about what we may be looking at and what we should be looking at to at least stabilize this downward trend. I think that might be helpful. Obviously, we have time and space, but something of a fiscal matter, I think we should get ahead of the curve. So if you could do that for the next meeting, that would be great.
Sounds good.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, very good. That concludes item number 9. Thank you so much. I appreciate your report. Okay, Dr. Hawkins, you have the floor.
Yes, okay. Thank you. Good morning again. Thanks for the opportunity to report some of the important activities of the Medical Board of California. I'll be extremely brief. As Vice President of the Medical Board, I'm pleased to represent the board. The Medical Board last met in person on December 1st and 2nd, 2022. We'll next meet virtual this month, later this week on the 9th and the 10th. The agenda is finalized and is viewable on our website at mbc.ca.gov. Significant board activity remains. Most important is preparation for the presentation for our sunset review later this year, sometime in the next few months. There are a number of important issues, but most important is the need for the legislature to increase fees to licensees to improve our balance sheet. President just asked a very, very important question. This has been a challenge for us. We really have real issues with our balance sheet without a fee increase, and we haven't had one in over, I think it's 15 years or so, but we've had an uphill battle and a fight in this regard. I hope the PA board does not, although you're in a much better balance sheet than much better financial situation than we are. There is a report outstanding of an enforcement monitor for the medical board requested by the DCA that's still pending. And I think that's the end of my report. I can take any questions, comments, or if there are any.
Yeah, please, Dr. Hawkins. So where is the resistance coming from in, well, let me preface that by saying I assume that all your members are aware that with the inflationary pressures we have, fee increase is almost inevitable. So keeping that in mind, where is your resistance coming from?
Organized medicine. I mean, I believe that certain entities have a relationship with the legislature, which might be considered carrot and stick, or so. For example, we asked for a fee increase of a certain amount of dollars. That was a substantial increase. And we got an insignificant amount increase of $80, which did nothing to our bottom line. But there are entities, physician entities, that have I believe, an oversized influence on the legislatures that are getting in the way of us getting what we need to operate. So at the moment, I'm not going to name names, but you might be able to figure that out.
Sure. So how big an increase were you guys looking at? What is it now, and what was your request?
It's about a doubling, every 2 years, maybe some 800 to 1,600, something like that. Don't quote me on the exact figure, but it's in that ballpark. But again, we haven't had a fee increase in over 15 years. Zero, except for that nominal insignificant $80 last year. That's every 2 years. And that our function has required us to do something we would not have liked to do, which is get a loan to function. And I don't want to go into too much details about that, but we're in a significant financial situation.
Okay, understood.
And we need the legislature to hear us well and step up and do the right thing so we can continue to meet our mission of protecting the public.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. Understood. Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right. Very good.
I'm sorry, someone else's question or no? Thank you, Juan. We could speak offline if you like. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Randy. Appreciate it. Okay. Very good. Number 12, regulations update on pending regulatory packages.
Hi, this is Jasmine. I'll be giving the update on the regulatory packages.
Thank you, Jasmine.
So the first package is the renewal of license and continuing medical education required. Staff is currently working on initial documents to submit for initial review this calendar year. The next package is the SB 697 implementation package. Staff is currently finalizing initial documents with Regulations Council and the Budget Office to submit for initial review within the next month. The next package is the SB 697 application exam scores, addresses, and record keeping. And agency approved this package on December 12th, 2022, and it was filed with the Office of Administrative Law on December 20th, 2022. Regulations Council, Karen Halbo, and I are working with OAL staff to make any requested changes and to finalize this package. We did withdraw the package, and we'll be issuing a modification of text that will be published for a 15-day comment period, and the board will have the opportunity to vote and adopt this new text at the next board meeting. Moving on to the retired status to include fingerprint requirement. This package is on hold for 2023 until the above packages are completed. And the next package, SB 1441, implement uniform standards. This package is also on hold for 2023 until the above packages are completed. And then finally, AB 107, military applicant temporary licensure. Staff is currently working on creating initial documents with Regulations Council and the Budget Office to submit for initial review this calendar year. And that concludes my update.
Thank you, Ms. Dillon. So it doesn't look like there is much for us to do in terms of any changes in position, correct?
That is correct.
Boy, this report is much shorter than we've seen in years past, so I guess that's a good thing. Okay. Any questions or comments? All right, very good. Thank you, Ms. Dillon.
Juan, it's Jed. I just had a quick question.
Oh, welcome, Jed. Yes, hop on in.
So I was just curious, what changed on number 3 with the testing one? It was basically almost done, So 1399, 506, 507, 511, et cetera. Could
Yeah,
you
that one.
update us why you
Yes.
pulled it?
So OAL had we had discussions with OAL's attorney that was assigned to this package, and there were some concerns with the language in regards to the mailing address and just specifying that the address of record that licensees need to provide does not have to include a home address because that's not required by statute. And that also that change would also, you know, better address the public comment that was received for that package, where someone had commented and said that it needs to be, the language needs to be more clear as to whether or not a home address is required or not. So that was one of the concerns. And the other main concern was the address of record, and just specifying that the address of record is published on the DCA license search website for licensees and not applicants, which is the case. We only publish the address of record that's provided once an applicant is issued a valid license. So that was just another thing that we needed to clarify in the language. And those were the two main concerns that OAL had.
Okay, great. So does this, thank you for answering the question. Does this restart our process, or does it move through more quickly when you just have some minor changes like that?
No, so it doesn't restart the process. So we had submitted the notice of the regulation on September 9th, 2022. And so from that period, we have a year to finalize it with OAL. So what we're going to do is we had to withdraw the package, and we will be sending out a 15-day modification of text where the public will be able to comment. And then we will address any concerns that the public might have. And if there's any changes to the text that need to be made, we will make those changes. But we basically have until that September deadline to finalize this package, which gives us plenty of time. And the board will have the opportunity to make any comments, or, you know, we can address any of your concerns as well at the next meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate you explaining that.
You're welcome.
All right, very good. Thank you, Jed. Any other questions or comments? All right, very good. Ms. Dillon, thank you so much for your presentation. That brings us to item 12, Education Workforce Development Advisory Committee. That would be Charles and Jed. Do you have a presentation to give us, gentlemen?
Yeah, yes, we do. I want to first of all thank my colleague Jed Grant for his assistance as we transition this reporting to myself. And so, Jed, thank you so much for the mini lesson you gave me. I really appreciate that. If we can scroll down, do we have that report? There we go. So just very briefly, as you can see on the screen, there's 23 programs in California, 300 total across the nation. Of those 23, 3 are actually in the developmental phase. And as you can also see the distribution, where 15 of them, the majority are located in the LA, San Diego area, with the Bay Area following, and then 2 in Sacramento, Central Valley, and then 2 in the Central Coast. The other thing about this particular chart is that you can see the average number of students is about 41. There's a total estimate capacity of 1,048 once all these programs get online, or the ones that are developing get online. And so that's a great thing. There's nothing on the horizon. We just, so you know, that we have no information about any other developing programs here in the state of California. The one thing I will make a comment about, and being that I work at a university along with my colleague, the physician assistant profession is really becoming popular among undergraduates. And I think in some respect, that's a great thing because we definitely need, more care providers, given what's going on in the health professions today. So, Mr. Chairman, that's the extent of my report, unless my colleague Jed Grant, you want to add any other comments that I may have missed?
No, I think that covers it. There wasn't a lot of action in terms of new, programs coming online or anything like Dr. Alexander mentioned. So the biggest hurdle to growth of programs in California is clinical sites, but it is increasingly competitive with multiple applicants for every available seat. So.
Thank you, Jed. And Dr. Hawkins, I see your hand up.
Yeah, and this might be for another part of the agenda or a future agenda. You talked about the clustering of the training programs. Do you even know very much about where folks are practicing? Are they practicing in an underserved area? In the past, I sat on Health Professional Education Foundation, which has been incorporated into another entity. And there is still in that entity the ability for applicants, including physician assistants, to apply and get funding, rather get some relief from medical expenses if they agree to practice in underserved areas. Do you have an idea about the distribution of practice of physician assistants in California, even though they're trained in those clusters?
Jed, do you have any comment on that?
Sure. I think it's a great question. Thinking about that, we as the, Education and Workforce Development Committee don't really, that's a little bit beyond, we're looking more at the gateway into the profession. There are a lot of loan repayment programs that if people do go practice in rural and underserved areas, they can have their loans repaid, lots of things like that. But we haven't traditionally looked into that a whole lot on our committee because we're really kind of focused on people coming in, not where they practice after they graduate. Although if that's something that, that we want this committee to focus on, we could certainly do that. We haven't done that up to this point.
We may not have to reinvent the wheel. The state entity, and I'm blocking the name of it now, it's actually a relatively new one in the last 2 years, may have some of that information for us. Don't want us duplicating work and that kind of thing for sure. It's with the numbers that are coming out, it's a reasonable question to ask and have answered. So.
Right. I think, we're happy to do that, but I think our focus, at least, when we've been working on it up to this point is how are we increasing the number of providers, not so much where they're going after they graduate. So it's just a different focus. I don't know if there's another committee that, needs to be formed to work on that, or if we just want to change the focus of this committee from, education and development of workforce coming in versus, distribution of workforce on the back end. Just not that it's a, bad thing to do, just wasn't our focus and wasn't the original intent of the committee. But if that's a direction we want to go, that's fine. Just need to have some direction on that.
Understood. Thank you both.
Hey, Jed, this is Deanna. Great presentation. Thank you both for this. Quick question. Do we have a general idea what the diversity in terms of the racial and ethnic mix of applicants are across the programs? And then the average cost of PA education. I know that continues to escalate across the country, but specifically more in the state of California. What is the applicant pipeline? Is it reflective of the communities that the PAs are intended to serve, and then the cost of education, which has been going up across all healthcare professional programs? Just wanted to get your thoughts on those two things.
Well, I know when Jed and I were looking at putting this report together, the universities, some report the diversity of their classes or the enrollment, and some don't. So it's pretty hard to get that information, even when you scroll down into their websites. As far as the cost, I mean, I think, yeah, as you mentioned, education costs is going up in general. And I would imagine some of these new programs are going to be somewhat expensive. I would even say the University of California, San Diego, which is, again, a public university, but yet they still require students to pay professional fees. And so, Jed, I don't know if you have any other comments on that question.
Yeah, I would just echo what Charles said, that sometimes the diversity information is hard to get. Many programs do publish that on their website, and if that's something that the board wants to see on this report, we could certainly include cost and diversity from the information that we can gather. The PA Education Association website has some information on that, and they survey every program every year. For that information that can be found in their matriculating student survey, or the recently renamed it to the program report that has that information. But again, that's all voluntary reporting. We do know that the PA profession as a whole is less diverse than we would like it to be. So the profession, in terms of applicants to the profession, are overwhelmingly white females. But diversity has been a goal. So all the Professional Education Association for PA programs has been really working on this and doing a lot. As an admissions director for a PA program, in my role, we do a lot to try and have a more diverse applicant pool, as well as more diverse students that we select for admission to the program. So you bring up a great question, one that's been a problem for some time, but that there is active attention focused on, and I think some progress being made in terms of diversity. In terms of cost, the average program is about $100,000 or so. It varies widely from $70,000 all the way up to over $200,000 in terms of cost. Public versus private, that sort of stuff. I did note recently that Cal State Monterey Bay had an increase in their tuition and fees for their PA program that puts it in the $100,000 to $120,000 for the total cost of the program. Like Charles mentioned, sometimes the cost is a little bit hard to determine because it's reported out in sort of odd ways, but we can usually get that from their websites or the PAEA site as well. So if those are parameters that the board would like to see on this report, we can do that moving forward. Cost, I think we could get a pretty accurate number for you, but the diversity numbers, because of the varied reporting, might be more difficult.
Thank you both for that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Let me ask Rosanna a question that dovetails into this. Rosanna, if we do a fee increase in the next 2 or 3 years, whatever it is, does that require legislative approval, or is that at the administrative level, in other words, us?
It is legislative approval. And this is something that DCA has informed me that they're actually looking at all the boards and bureaus that will need a fee increase, and they will be submitting a collective request to the legislature. So that's why I did say 25-26 fiscal year, but we'll start looking into this. But yeah, it has to be approved through the legislature. That
being the case, then as we can see, there is legislative momentum towards diversity and inclusion and all those types of policy considerations. Then I think, just from a purely political standpoint, I think it would be wise for us to have some data on that, Jed and Charles, within your committee, so that if the question ever comes up in discussion with the legislature, we can show that we have put those policy goals in mind through our studies, and that's something we're trying to achieve. Just kind of smooths the waters, I think, in terms of lobbying for a PAB physician increasing fees. So I would think that it would behoove us to perhaps include that information in your reporting.
So noted, Mr. President. We'll that's something I'm very curious about as well, and I think it's worth reporting on in the future.
Charles, for the next report, when we do that, I am a member of the PAEA, so I have access to their data, and we can work together to put that piece into the report.
Great, thanks, Chad. Great.
That's terrific. Great, thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments for Doctors Grant and Alexander on this? All right, very good. Thank you, gentlemen. Good discussion on this stuff. All right, so that will move us to item number 13, report by Legislative Committee, Dr. Early and Jasmine Dillon and member Carlquist, who is going to do that for us.
Hi, this is Jasmine. I'll be giving the update.
Very good.
So for this update, I do not have any bills that have come across that directly impact the Physician Assistant Board. However, as you can tell, the tentative legislative calendar does say that February 17th is the last day for bills to be introduced. So we do have a little less than 2 weeks until that deadline. So I'm anticipating there should be at least a few bills that do come across that will impact our board. And also any bills that have been introduced could possibly be amended in the future to pertain to our board. And so as of right now, there aren't any bills that impact our board. However, for the next board meeting, I think that by then we should see some that will impact the board, and I will be giving an update for that. So that concludes the update for this board meeting.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Dillon. Any comments? All right, very good. Thank you, Ms. Dillon. All right, so that brings us to items to add to the agenda for next meeting. Does anybody have any comments on what we should, on any additions for the next agenda? All right, well, that looks like this is going to be a swift meeting then, which I think is good for all of us. Okay, so that will bring us to closed session. And if I'm correct, Michael, we can state what we need to state, that we will be adjourning from within closed session.
That is correct, Mr. President.
Okay, so as the adjournment states, due to technical limitations, adjournment will not be broadcast. Adjournment will follow the closed session, and there will be no other items to be discussed. So with that, we will go ahead and move to closed session and close the public part of this meeting. So, Ms. Moderator, whatever we need to do, let's go ahead and do that and move directly into closed session.
Certainly, thank you.